Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a leg day vlog. And we started off with back squats. Dropped the SSB and I decided, look, let's just run some high bar squats. We hit a really good SSB squat not that long ago. Ended up getting a 470 on it, but I also feel like it was a little high. So I want to go back and just work my high bar squats for a little bit so that I can make sure that I hit the depth I want to hit. Kind of what I was doing before that, where we mess with the high bar squats and then mess with some pause squats and really focus on those long pauses. And I think what I'm probably going to do starting this next week is actually try to pause some of these singles with the actual heavier work. I really want to focus on, again, that lower quad development. So even I want my heavy work to transfer over to that, which means I need to be deep. Right, we need to be deep, like right here, like you saw that. That's the depth I need to hit on everything. So again, I did the side view with that 405, and then I went up another 20 pounds. Just did a fairly comfortable 425. So I want to get used to, again, kind of high bar squatting, and that's the reason I went to the SSB, just to make sure it was all easier on shoulders and stuff. But I'm like, my shoulders are in a good spot. Right, everything feels good. High bar is easy on my shoulders. Let's just keep rocking it. Right, we'll just keep rocking it and work this up towards 500 on the high bar. So that's kind of one of my strength goals, again, is to crack at least a 500 squat. And like the form you saw me use there is pretty much what I used at my last meet for the 496 for that state record. That I basically just got that state record and took a knee for my second attempt. I didn't try to go up after that because I had to deadlift and didn't want to risk being too fatigued walking into the deadlifts. So I want to get this back up to 500. And I think for me, that's just a good goal. If I can get to a 500 squat again, I'm happy. I have other lifts that, I want them higher. But I feel like for me with a squat, it's kind of like I've said, a 500 squat's kind of your metric. And anytime I'm back at a 500 plus, I feel like I'm in a good place. I just don't need to be stronger than that on the back squat. Because I do feel like at a certain point, as I'm trying to chase kind of this classic aesthetics, my quads could get a little too big if I'm not careful, but maybe not. As I look at some of this, I feel like they do have a little room to grow, as long as I bring the upper body up more to be in proportion. So what I did here is kind of one of the things I really like to do. You guys have seen me do this in the past, where we do a high bar squat and we just come in and do long pauses. So I held these for a 10 count, so I kind of do a 1 1,000, 2 1,000. So I try to get to 10 seconds. And it may not be perfect, but it's close enough. Close enough. And that's more or less the idea. We just need to get some pause work to where I put some decent tension down there in that pause position, and have some actual tension time. And people can talk about continual tension, time under tension, all these things. And there could be, to a degree, some truth to some of that. Again, especially in those deep stretch positions. But it will also give me the tendon health and mobility and everything I want. Because, look at that. Look at the stretch involved, right? That opens up your hips, gives that dorsiflexion, everything under load. Because, again, when it comes to stretching, just mild, weak stretching, I'm at a point where I'm thick enough with enough tendon and muscle and everything. And at my strength levels, it's hard for me to do anything that actually improves flexibility or mobility. Like, normal stretching is completely useless. Does absolutely nothing at all. But stretching with 300 pounds on my, like using 300 extra pounds, that can do something. So again, doing that. And then afterwards, I came in, I went down a little bit from what I did on these. I wanted to pick the reps up. But the thing is, I was hoping I could get like 20s, but these burned so bad with 15s, even though I reduced weight. Keep in mind, it seems like a big jump, but the whole thing, the whole apparatus is kind of heavy. Like that whole arm is probably 100 plus pounds across there. So it's hard to calculate how much of that is machine weight. But yeah, these were pretty challenging at 15 reps. And again, taking them all the way down ass to grass, right? Wanting that depth. People would say, well, why? Because again, that's where we get the best lower quad development. And I feel like if I add any more muscle to my quads, I want the lower quads. I need that whole lower part. I'm not worried about building a lot of extra abductor, rectus femoris. So again, the idea, want to come in and Go into that deep stretch position. All right, sorry guys, I yawned there. I'm gonna keep rolling with it though. You go into that deep stretch position. All right, to again work that area. Plus, with a lot of this, one of the things I'm doing with the pause squats, one of the things I'm doing with doing the stuff like this with lighter weight for the really deep ranges of motion, it's like Louis Simmons kind of says. So I know this is that's a strength conversation, even though I'm mostly bodybuilding now. But we don't want to be weak either. What did Louis Simmons always say? He's like, get as strong as possible with the lightest weight possible. Like, you just get less beat up. He's like, let your max work be max work, and everything else you need to think in those other terms. Right? Max effort is max effort. Everything else shouldn't be about that. It should be about how everything carries over. And most of it's trying to gain muscle. And we can gain muscle doing this, but because I'm walking into these fatigued, those pause squats take a lot out of my quad activation. Like they walk in really fatigued. So then stuff like this is hard to do for these high reps after doing that because everything's been stretched. But we know that we are creating then the metabolic fatigue that we need. Right? And we know that we're then getting that mechanical tension on individual muscle fibers. We've taken them to a point of real fatigue. And I can do that with fairly low volume. You know, I know my quad volumes are actually quite low compared to some of my other muscles because my legs will grow even off low volumes, always have. All right, calf raise is the same thing. I pushed up and got to where I got 10s, 500 pounds on these. But I'm like, let's just do some reps for a bit on the calves. It's just easier. It's easier to just put 225 or something light on the bar and just rep the hell out of it. Because again, my calves are going to grow no matter what. My calves grow from every rep range. I got good calf genetics. So let's just come in and work them this way. It will probably help me lose fat even faster. Because again, big calf muscle, even if the calf muscle is some temporary swelling and more glycogen storage or whatever, it changes the swing weight, right? It just makes you burn through more calories. So it's going to make losing fat even easier. That's one of the things I've realized with my calves. It's maybe one of the reasons too that I actually tend to burn a lot of calories no matter what. I have a fairly fast metabolic rate. A lot of it could be the fact that I have giant calves. And just walking around, whenever I'm walking and doing other stuff, probably burns calories, right? And there's where my thighs are. Thighs are on point right now. But for the calf raises, I lost count. I'm just marked it as 30 to 50. But I think even I got around 32 or something on the very last set, like the one that just hit burned. I think the first set I got close to 50 reps. So again, we're just going to call it 30 to 50. It's because it's somewhere in that range. There's a point where you just lose count. You lose count when it comes to calf raises. We're just doing volume. We're doing volume at this point. So, by doing it this way, we just burn through a lot of volume, potentially some extra calories. At this point, I almost just feel like just getting a calf pump and using them to help me burn more fat. That's all I care about. Because, again, let's be fair, look at my calves. Look at my calves in proportion to the rest of my physique. They are massive, they are shredded, they are vascular. Look at my calves. Realistically speaking, do I really need much in the way of calf improvement? No. But I want to do stuff. I don't want to completely ignore them. So it's kind of like, let's just do what's going to continue to help me burn more calories with them, help me get leaner, right? Because that's what we're chasing. More leanness, more aesthetics. And this is just a good solution. And the funny thing is, even though I'm saying that, I'm not even going to do that, worry about size, it's probably going to make my calves bigger and grainier anyways. And then I finish up with some banded leg extensions. I have some handles somewhere that attach that I could have put on the bands, and I can't find the dang things. All right, I wish I looked for them. They're somewhere in here, I think. But I'm like, well, so I just hooked them around my toes. I'm like, let's just do a set of these for pump work. Of course, this is not the most flattering position. Like, this is the worst possible position I could be in for my loose skin and body fat. But ironically, it doesn't look that bad. It really doesn't look that bad. And we're seeing all that upper chest work. All that upper chest work that I've been putting in and that separation up there. It comes out even in this position. So we're making great progress there. So pretty happy with today's workout. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.